The cardiac monitor flatlined. "We need a chest tube now." The janitor's voice cut through the chaos. Dr. Whitmore's head snapped up. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Intercostal space 5. He's got a tension pneumothorax." "Nurses don't give orders here." "I'm not a nurse." The patient's hand shot up, gripping her wrist. Blood-soaked lips moved. One word, whispered. "Valkyrie." Her breath stopped. That word died in Kandahar, with her team, 3 years ago. The monitors screamed. The patient was crashing. Everyone stared at the woman in scrubs they'd dismissed for 2 years. They didn't know. They couldn't know. But that seal on the table did, and now she had 60 seconds to save his life, or bury the last person who knew what she really was. The word hung in the air between them. Valkyrie. Jay's world narrowed to a pinpoint. That call sign died 3 years ago in the sand, buried with the rest of her life. The monitor screamed. Her hands moved before her brain caught up. "Needle decompression kit, 14-gauge catheter, second intercostal space, mid-clavicular line, now." The words came out in military cadence, sharp, precise, no room for discussion. Dr. Whitmore's head snapped toward her. "What did you just say?" Jay didn't answer. She was already counting. 47 seconds since cardiac arrest. The seal had maybe 90 more before brain damage became irreversible. "Someone get me that kit." No one moved. They were all staring at her. The janitor in scrubs. The woman who emptied bedpans and fetched warm blankets. The invisible one. Fine. Jay lunged for the crash cart herself, yanked open the bottom drawer. Her fingers found the decompression kit by muscle memory. She ripped it open with her teeth. "Hey!" Dr. Whitmore stepped toward her. "You need to step back right now." Jay ignored him. She was already at the bedside, palpating the seal's chest. Second intercostal space, mid-clavicular line, right there. She positioned the catheter. "Security!" Head nurse Brennan's voice cut through the chaos. "Someone get security in here." The needle went in. Pop! The distinctive hiss of released pressure filled the room, like opening a shaken soda can. The tension, pneumothorax collapsing. The monitor's frantic beeping slowed, steadied, not normal, but viable. Jay pulled back, watching the numbers climb. Oxygen saturation rising, heart rate stabilizing. 60 seconds. Dr. Whitmore grabbed her arm. "Who the hell do you think you are?" "Someone who just saved your patient's life." Jay shook him off, eyes still on the monitor. "You're welcome." Brennan appeared at her other elbow. The head nurse had 20 years in this ER. 20 years of treating Jay like the help. 2 years you've been here. 2 years of fetching blankets and taking vitals. And now you're suddenly performing procedures? Jay didn't look at her. She was running her hands over the seal's torso, assessing. Her fingers moved with clinical precision, reading injuries through touch like braille. Blast pattern. She could feel it. The characteristic distribution of debris under the skin, secondary fragmentation from an IED. The delayed presentation of the pneumothorax screamed combat injury. "Where's the rest of his team?" Jay asked. Silence. She looked up. Everyone was staring at her like she'd grown a second head. "His team," she repeated. "Blast injuries don't travel alone. Where are the others?" Dr. Whitmore's face had gone from red to pale. "How do you know it's a blast injury?" "Because I've seen 100 of them." The monitor alarm shrieked again. Jay's eyes shot to the screen, blood pressure dropping. Fast. No. "He's bleeding internally." Her hands moved to his abdomen, rigid, distended. "Probable splenic laceration. And look at his neck veins." They were bulging, distended. "Cardiac tamponade," she said. "The pericardial sac is filling with blood. It's compressing the heart." Brennan scoffed. "That's a diagnosis that requires imaging, and it requires a patient who's still alive to get imaging." Jay checked the monitor again. "He's got 4 minutes, maybe." Dr. Whitmore shook his head. "Trauma surgeon is 12 minutes out. We stabilize and wait." "He doesn't have 12 minutes." "Then we'll do our best to—" "He has 4. Jay's mind was already running the calculations, the math she'd done 100 times before. Time versus blood loss, pressure versus perfusion, life versus death. 4 minutes. The memory hit her like a freight train. Kandahar, 12 wounded operators, supplies for 8. She'd hesitated, frozen for 30 seconds trying to decide. By the time she moved, it was too late for 4 of them. Never again. A hand touched her shoulder. The older paramedic who'd brought the seal in stepped close. His eyes were weathered, knowing. the kind of eyes that had seen things, done things. "You've done this before, haven't you?" His voice was quiet. "Combat surgery." Jay met his gaze, held it. "Yeah," she said. "I have." He nodded once. "Then do it again." The monitor screamed louder, blood pressure plummeting. 3 minutes now, maybe less. Jay turned to Brennan. "Get me a thorocotomy tray." "Absolutely not." Brennan crossed her arms. "You're a nurse. You don't have the authority." "I'm going in." Dr. Whitmore stepped between her and the patient. "Over my dead body. You'll lose your license, your job. I'll personally—" "Then fire me after he's alive." Jay's voice dropped, cold, military, the voice she hadn't used in 3 years. "Right now, I'm the only person in this room who's cracked a chest under enemy fire. So you can either get me that tray, or you can explain to his commanding officer why you let him die while you worried about protocols." The room went silent. Even the monitor seemed to hold its breath. Dr. Whitmore's jaw worked. His eyes darted to the seal, to the plummeting vitals, back to Jay. "Get her the tray," he finally said. Brennan didn't move. Now, a nurse Jay didn't know rushed to the supply cabinet. Hands shaking, she pulled out the thorocotomy tray, slammed it on the table beside the bed. Jay ripped off her scrub top. Underneath, she wore a tank top. No time for proper surgical attire. She grabbed a bottle of chlorhexidine, dumped it over her hands and forearms. 10-second scrub. She snapped on gloves. 2 minutes. Her hands moved, scalpel from the tray. She didn't ask permission, didn't wait for clearance. The blade bit into skin at the 5th intercostal space. Clean incision, left anterolateral thoracotomy. The cut she'd made so many times she could do it blind. Blood welled up. She ignored it. Deeper, through muscle, through tissue. No wasted movement, no hesitation. "Rib spreader." Someone put it in her hand. She didn't see who. The spreader went in. She cranked it open. Rib separated with a wet crack. There. The pericardium bulged beneath her fingers, tense, swollen, full of blood. "Pericardium's tense. There's the tamponade." Her voice was steady, clinical, like she was teaching a class, not racing death. "Scalpel for the pericardial window." A fresh blade appeared in her hand. She made the incision, small, precise, just enough. Blood gushed out, dark, venous. It poured from the pericardial sac, releasing the pressure on the heart. The organ beneath began to beat stronger. Immediately, Jay's fingers probed the heart itself, searching for the source. There. Intercostal vessel, torn, pumping blood with every beat. She applied direct pressure, firm, steady. 27 seconds, someone whispered. Jay didn't respond. She was counting heartbeats, watching the monitor. The numbers climbed. Oxygen saturation, rising, blood pressure, stabilizing, heart rate, strong, regular. The monitor's frantic alarm shifted to a steady beep. She held pressure for another 30 seconds, making sure. When she finally eased off, the bleeding had slowed to a trickle. "He needs vascular repair in the OR," she said, "but he's stable enough to transport now." Jay stepped back. Her hands were covered in blood. Her tank top was soaked with it. She could feel it cooling on her skin. The room was dead silent except for the monitor's steady rhythm. Beep, 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 life. The SEAL's eyes fluttered open, just for a second. His lips moved. "Still got it, Doc." The word landed like a bomb. Doc, not nurse, doctor. Every head in the room swiveled toward Jay. Dr. Whitmore's face had gone completely white. "What the hell are you?" Jay peeled off her gloves, dropped them in the biohazard bin. Her hands were shaking now, adrenaline crash starting. "Someone who saved your patient's life." She turned toward the door. Brennan moved to block her path. "You're not going anywhere. Security is—" The older paramedic stepped between them. His body language was clear, protective. "Let her go," he said quietly. "I know what I just saw." His eyes held Brennan's until the head nurse stepped aside. Jay walked. Her legs felt like rubber. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. But she walked, out of the trauma bay, into the hallway. Blood soaked through her scrub pants, covered her arms. She probably looked like an extra from a horror movie. The hospital administrator was waiting. Dr. Chen, stern, by the book, the woman who'd hired her 2 years ago as a floor nurse. "My office," Chen said. "Now." Jay opened her mouth to respond. The elevator dinged. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. Federal agents. She could tell from 50 feet away, the way they moved, The way they scanned the hallway before stepping out, the slight bulge under their jackets. They weren't looking at the trauma bay. They were looking at her. The taller one pulled out a badge. Dr. Jordan Cade? Jay's heart stopped. That name. Her real name. The one she'd buried 3 years ago. "We need to talk," the agent said. Behind her through the trauma bay windows, she could see them prepping the SEAL for transport. His chest was still open, her work, her hands. In front of her, federal agents who knew exactly who she was, and somewhere in between, the word that had started it all still echoed in her ears. Valkyrie. The call sign only 6 people in the world had ever known. 5 of them were dead, and the 6th was on that table behind her, holding on to life by a thread she'd just stitched. Jay looked at the agent's badge, at Chen's stern face, at the blood on her own hands. "Yeah," she finally said, "we do." The conference room was too small for this conversation. Dr. Chen sat at the head of the table. The 2 federal agents flanked the door, and Jay stood in the middle, still covered in blood that wasn't hers. "Explain." Chen's voice could cut glass. "Explain how a floor nurse just performed an emergency thorocotomy in my ER." Jay said nothing. She was calculating, running probabilities. How much did they know? How much could she still hide? The taller agent stepped forward. Agent Mills, according to his badge. "Dr. Jordan Cade, Naval Special Warfare Command Medical Corps. 3 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. That's who you're about to fire, Dr. Chen." Chen's face went pale. "Doctor?" "She didn't falsify credentials," the second agent added. Agent Reeves, shorter, harder eyes. "She used her legitimate nursing license, just omitted the MD and the combat experience and the security clearance." "Why?" Chen looked at Jay like she was a stranger. "Why would you hide that?" Jay met her eyes, held them. "Because I didn't want to be that person anymore." The words came out flat, empty. Chen opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "You saved that man's life. You have skills this hospital desperately needs. But you performed an unauthorized surgical procedure. The liability alone." "Can wait," Mills interrupted. "We need to speak with Dr. Cade. Privately." Chen stood. "This is my hospital, my staff, This is a matter of national security." Reeves pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. "Your nurse, your doctor, your whatever she is. She's also a material witness in an ongoing federal investigation." Chen stared at the folder like it might bite her. "We'll need the room," Mills said. It wasn't a request. Chen looked at Jay one more time, then left. The door clicked shut behind her. Jay remained standing. "What investigation?" Mills gestured to a chair. "Sit." "I'm fine." "Sit down, Dr. Cade." The tone cut through her defenses. Command voice. She'd heard it 1,000 times, used it herself. Jay sat. Reeves took the chair across from her. "Tell us about Kandahar." The room tilted. Just the word, just the name of that place. It pulled her under like a riptide. "No," Jay said, "not a request. I was discharged, honorably. I don't owe you." "Lieutenant Commander Griffin," Mills said quietly. "Tell us about him." The air left the room. Jay's hands clenched under the table. "That's classified." "Not anymore." Mills opened the folder, slid a photo across, black and white, grainy. A man in tactical gear, strong jaw, kind eyes, Griffin. Jay looked away. "Why are you doing this?" "Because the man you just saved downstairs, he was on Griffin's team that night." Her head snapped up. "What?" "Petty Officer First Class Torres," Reeves said. "He survived Kandahar because of your triage decisions. You chose to save him instead of Griffin." The words hit like bullets. Jay stood. The chair scraped back. "I need to leave." "Sit down." She didn't sit. She couldn't. The walls were closing in. 3 years ago, Mills continued, voice relentless, Kandahar province. Your team was ambushed during a routine supply run. 12 operators wounded. You were the only medical personnel on site. Jay's eyes were closed, but she could still see it. The sand, the heat, the blood. So much blood. "You had supplies for maybe 8, Reeves said. "You had to choose." "Stop. Who gets the morphine? Who gets the blood products? Who gets left to die?" "Stop!" The word came out like a scream. Silence. Jay's hands were shaking. She forced them still, forced herself to breathe. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. I saved 11. She opened her eyes, looked at the agents. 11 operators walked out of that valley alive. One didn't. Griffin, Mills said. Lieutenant Commander Griffin. Jay's throat was raw. My fiancé. The words hung in the air. Reeves leaned forward. Tell us what happened. Jay sat back down. Her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. He took shrapnel to the femoral artery, she said. Massive blood loss. I had 1 unit of O negative left. 1. Her hands moved on the table. Ghost motions, reliving it. There was a kid, 22 years old, petty officer 3rd class, chest wound, sucking chest wound. He was conscious, begging me not to let him die. She swallowed hard. Griffin told me to save the kid. He said, make the math work. That's what he always said. Make the math work. So you did, Mills said. I gave the blood to the younger operator. Better survival odds, higher probability of successful evac. Griffin was stable enough to wait for the helo. Jay's voice cracked. Except he wasn't. The room was silent except for the hum of the fluorescent lights. He crashed 30 seconds before the helicopter landed. I couldn't stop the bleeding. I tried everything, but I'd already used the blood, the plasma, the clotting factors. Tears were streaming down her face. She didn't wipe them away. He died holding my hand, telling me I made the right call, that I saved everyone I could save. She looked at the agents. But I didn't save him. Reeves and Mills exchanged a look. Dr. Cade, Mills said carefully, what if we told you Griffin's death wasn't your fault? Jay's breath caught. What? New intelligence suggests the Kandahar ambush wasn't random, Reeves said. It was a coordinated hit. Someone wanted your team dead. The world tilted again. That's impossible. We were running supplies. There was no strategic value in... Griffin found something, Mills interrupted. Evidence of weapons trafficking. Black market sales flowing through your operational area. He was going to report it. Jay shook her head. No, he would have told me. He was protecting you. The less you knew, the safer you were. Mills pulled out another photo, an autopsy report. This is Griffin's official cause of death, exsanguination due to combat trauma. He pulled out a second document. This is the toxicology report that was classified, the one you never saw. Jay took it with shaking hands. Her eyes scanned the page. Medical terminology, chemical compounds, and there, highlighted, potassium chloride, massive dose, injected. He was poisoned, she whispered. Before you ever started triage, Reeves said. The femoral artery wound was real, but he was already dying from the injection. You never had a chance to save him. The paper slipped from Jay's fingers. 3 years. 3 years of guilt, of believing she'd killed the man she loved by choosing another patient, of running from medicine because she couldn't trust herself to make those choices again. 3 years of a lie. The man downstairs, Mills said. Torres. He was on Griffin's team. He survived because of you. Why is he here? Jay's voice was hollow. Because he's been investigating Griffin's death, independently, against orders. Mills laid out more photos, 4 more men, all in tactical gear. These operators were also on Griffin's team that night. Torres has been meeting with them, comparing notes, looking for answers. And someone found out, Reeves finished. Jay looked at the photos. Young faces, hard eyes, warriors. Torres wasn't randomly attacked, she said slowly. No. Someone's hunting them. Yes. The pieces fell into place. The blast pattern, the combat injuries, the word Torres had whispered. Valkyrie. Griffin's call sign for her. Only the team knew it. Torres had whispered it so she'd know, so she'd understand. I know who you are. I need your help. Where are the others? Jay asked. Mills and Reeves exchanged another look. En route to this hospital, Mills said. 3 more wounded operators. Same attack pattern. ETA 18 minutes. Jay stood. 18 minutes? This is the closest level 1 trauma center. They're coming here. Does Chen know? Not yet. Jay's mind was already racing, calculating. 3 more operators, combat injuries, blast patterns. The current trauma surgeon was good, competent, but he'd never worked battlefield medicine. He didn't know how to triage mass casualties, how to work with limited resources, how to make the math work when the math was impossible. You need me, she said. It wasn't a question. We need Dr. Cade, Reeves confirmed, just for tonight. Save these men. Then you can go back to being nobody if you want. Jay looked down at her hands, still covered in Torres's blood. I walked away for a reason. I can't be that person. I can't make those choices. But Torres had chosen to come here. He'd known she was here. He'd trusted her with his life. And now, 3 more men from Griffin's team needed her. 4 operators, 1 night. I'll need full authority, Jay said. No interference, no questions. No one second-guessing my calls. Done, Mills said immediately, and I want answers. After this is over, you tell me everything. Who killed Griffin? Who's hunting his team? All of it. Agreed. The door opened. Dr. Chen stood there. She'd been listening. You saved them, Chen said quietly. You save those men, and I'll give you whatever you need. Jay nodded once. She stripped off the bloody scrubs right there, down to her tank top and pants. I need surgical attire, proper gear, and I need someone to clear Trauma Bay 1 and 2 immediately. Chen was already on her phone. Dr. Whitmore, this is Chen. Clear both trauma bays. Prep massive transfusion protocol. We have incoming. Jay walked to the door, stopped. Combat triage setup, she called back. Not standard ER. They'll know the difference. She headed for the locker room. Behind her, she could hear Chen giving orders, mobilizing the hospital, preparing for war. In the locker room, Jay found clean scrubs, surgical grade. She changed quickly. Her hands were steady now. The shaking had stopped. This was what she knew, what she was good at, what she'd run from for 3 years. Dr. Whitmore was waiting when she emerged. His face was pale but determined. I was wrong, he said simply. Tell me what you need. The first skeptic converted. Jay met his eyes. You're about to see things you've never seen before. Combat medicine isn't like civilian trauma. It's faster, harder. The calls are impossible. Can you handle that? Yes. Then get the ORs prepped. We'll need at least 2 running simultaneously. Whitmore left at a run. Jay headed for the ER. She could see it through the windows, staff scrambling, setting up equipment, following her orders even though 2 hours ago they'd treated her like she was invisible. She grabbed the phone at the nurse's station. This is Dr. Cade. I need all available surgical staff to report to trauma immediately. This is not a drill. She hung up, looked at the clock. 15 minutes. Through the window she could see ambulance lights in the distance, getting closer. Jay closed her eyes, took 1 breath, centered herself. When she opened them again, she wasn't the floor nurse anymore. She was Dr. Jordan Cade, combat surgeon, SEAL team medical officer, Valkyrie. The radio on the wall crackled to life. County General, this is Rescue 6. Be advised, we're bringing in 5, not 3. Repeat, 5 casualties. 2 are critical. ETA 4 minutes. Jay's blood turned to ice. 5, not 3. 5. The math hit her like a fist to the gut. 2 trauma bays. Maybe 3 if they opened the surgical suite early. Not enough space, not enough blood, not enough hands. She looked at the clock again. 4 minutes. The memories crashed over her. Sand, heat, blood, 12 wounded operators, supplies for 8, Griffin's hand in hers, his last words. Make the math work. Dr. Whitmore appeared beside her. He'd heard the radio too. What's wrong? He asked. Jay couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Kandahar all over again. Part 3. Serial impossible saves and antagonist conversion. 4 minutes became 3, became 2. The ambulances screamed into the bay. Jay stood at the entrance, watching them come. 5 operators, 2 critical. The doors burst open. Chaos, paramedics shouting, gurneys rolling, blood everywhere. Jay's voice cut through it all. Listen up. Every head turned. This is combat triage. Severity, not arrival order. You follow my commands exactly. No questions, no hesitation, move. She pointed at the first gurney. Chest wound, sucking sound with every breath, pneumothorax. Bay 1, Whitmore, your lead. Chest tube now. Whitmore grabbed the gurney, ran. Second gurney, abdominal trauma, rigid belly, internal bleeding. Bay 2, Brennan, start 2 large bore IVs, massive transfusion protocol. Brennan's eyes went wide, but she moved. Third gurney, leg wound, tourniquet in place, stable vitals. Bay 3, pressure dressing and monitor, he can wait. Fourth, arm injury, conscious, talking, walking wounded, observation. Fifth, Jay's breath caught, femoral artery bleed. The tourniquet was soaked through, blood pressure barely readable, just like Griffin. Bay 1, she started to say. But Bay 1 was full. Bay 2 was full. She had to choose. Who gets the OR first? Who gets the blood? Who gets to live? Her hands started shaking. The math. Make the math work. But the math was impossible. A hand touched her shoulder, the veteran paramedic, the one who'd recognized her earlier. "You've got this, Doc." His voice was quiet, steady. Different night, different outcome. Jay's eyes met his. Different night. She looked at the fifth patient, at the blood, at the impossible choice. Then she grabbed the gurney herself. "I'm taking this one. Clear me a T." "Space!" She rolled him into Bay 1. Whitmore was already working the chest wound at the other table. No time for the OR. "He won't make it to the elevator," Jay said. "I'm clamping it here." She didn't wait for permission. Gloves on, betadine over the wound, scalpel in hand. The femoral artery was severed clean through, retracted into the muscle, pumping blood with every heartbeat. Jay's hands moved, not shaking anymore. Incision, extension of the wound, deeper. Her fingers probed the tissue. Found the vessel. There. "Clamp." A nurse put it in her hand. She slid it into the wound. 14 centimeters deep, felt for the artery. The texture was different from muscle, smooth, elastic. Got it. The clamp closed. Blood flow stopped. Monitor steadied. "Vascular repair," Jay said. "Someone time me." Her hands worked, sutures, tiny, precise, each one placed perfectly, rebuilding the vessel wall stitch by microscopic stitch. The room was silent except for monitors. Beep, beep, beep. Life. 6 minutes 30 seconds, someone called. Jay tied off the last suture, released the clamp slowly. The vessel held. Blood flowed, distal pulse strong. "He's viable for OR," she said. "Get him upstairs." Dr. Whitmore stared at her from across the bay. "I've never seen anyone work that fast." Jay didn't respond. She was already stripping gloves, moving to the next patient. But the monitor in Bay 2 screamed. She froze, looked through the window, the abdominal trauma, crashing, blood pressure plummeting. Brennan was there, hands full, eyes panicked. Jay was in Bay 1, patient was in Bay 2. She couldn't be in two places. The memories hit. Kandahar, the sand, Griffin's hand. The choice. "I can't do this again." 3 seconds of paralysis. Dr. Whitmore saw her face. "I'll take Bay 2. Jay's head snapped toward him. "You've never done combat surgery." "Then tell me what to do." He was already moving, grabbing a headset, tossing one to Jay. "Talk me through it," he said. "Your hands, my voice. We do this together." Jay caught the headset, put it in. Her patient in Bay 1 was stable. The OR team was there to transport. She could do this. She had to do this. "Whitmore, what do you see?" His voice came through the headset. Distended abdomen, fluid wave positive, free fluid in all quadrants. "Ruptured spleen. You need to get in there." "I've never done a field laparotomy." "You're about to. Scalpel. Midline incision from xiphoid to pubis. Fast. Deep. Don't hesitate." Through the window, she watched him work. Her hands moved on empty air. Ghost motions, guiding him. "Through the peritoneum. You'll see blood, lots of it. Don't panic. Suction." "There's so much." "I know. Pack all 4 quadrants with lap pads. Stop the bleeding you can see. Find the source." Jay's own patient was being rolled out. She stepped to the window, watching Whitmore. "I see the spleen. It's shredded. Can you remove it?" "I think so." "Then do it. Ligate the splenic artery first, then the vein. Careful. They tear easy." Her voice was steady, clinical, like she was standing next to him instead of 20 feet away. "Clamp the artery." "Got it." "Suture ligature, 2 throws. Lock it down." "Done." Now the vein. Same technique. She watched his hands move. Slower than hers, but precise. Learning. "Spleen is out," Whitmore said. His voice shook. "Pressure is stabilizing. Check for other injuries. Look at the liver, the bowel. Make sure nothing else is torn." Silence then. "Everything else looks intact. Close him up. Running suture on the fascia. You've done this before." "Not like this." "Exactly like this, just faster." 5 minutes later, the patient in Bay 2 was stable. Whitmore emerged, covered in blood, shaking. "That was," he started. "Not over," Jay interrupted. She was already moving to Torres, the first patient, the one who'd started everything. He was awake, barely. "Doc?" he rasped. Jay checked his vitals. Stable, strong. Don't talk, save your strength. They knew. His hand grabbed hers. Knew we'd come here. Knew you were here. Jay's blood turned cold. What? Not random. Designed. Draw us out. Who? Griffin found something. Proof of... His eyes rolled back, the sedation pulling him under. Jay stood there, hands still in his. They knew. This wasn't over. The attack wasn't finished. Someone was hunting Griffin's team, and they'd known exactly where to find them, where to find her. The monitor alarm in Bay 2 screamed again. Jay spun. Whitmore's patient. Complication. She ran. Through the doors. Gloves on mid-stride. No time for proper scrub. Whitmore had the abdomen open again. The bleeder. I thought I had it, but the artery retracted. I can't reach it. Blood was pooling. Fast. Jay looked at the monitor. 60 seconds. Maybe less before hemorrhagic shock became irreversible. Move. Whitmore stepped aside. Jay's hands went in, found the artery, retracted deep into the retroperitoneal space, impossible angle, 45 seconds. Her fingers worked blind, feeling, probing. There. Got it. Clamp on. Vessel controlled. 30 seconds. Suture. Tie. Lock down. Test the repair. Hold. 15 seconds. Release the clamp slowly. 5 seconds. The vessel held. Blood pressure climbed. 47 seconds, someone whispered. Jay stepped back. Same as Torres. I always work better with a deadline. The room released a collective breath. Whitmore stared at her. You just saved his life. Again. You found the injury. I just finished it. Jay looked around the trauma bay. 5 gurneys, 5 operators, all alive, all stable. The OR teams were there now, taking over, wheeling patients away for definitive repairs. She stood in the center of the bay, alone. Blood covered her scrubs, her arms, her face probably. Her hands started shaking again. Adrenaline, crash, delayed reaction. The door opened. Head nurse Brennan, holding 2 cups of coffee. She approached slowly, like approaching a wild animal. Dr. Cade, she offered 1 cup. I owe you an apology. We all do. Jay took the coffee. Her hands shook so badly liquid sloshed over the rim. 2 years, Brennan continued. 2 years I treated you like you were nothing, and tonight you saved 5 men I couldn't have saved alone. You did fine. I followed orders. You gave them. Brennan's voice cracked. I'm sorry. Other staff gathered, nurses, techs, all watching, all acknowledging. Dr. Whitmore stepped forward. Where did you train to do that? Jay looked at the blood on her hands, at the monitors still beeping, at the empty gurneys. War, she said simply. The door opened again. Dr. Chen, the hospital administrator, with agents Mills and Reeves behind her. Chen approached. Her face was unreadable. I don't know what you were running from, she said quietly, but we need you. Chief of Trauma Surgery, full authority. Design your own protocols, train your own staff. The position is yours if you want it. Jay shook her head. This was one night. I'm not staying. Dr. Cade, Mills interrupted. There's something you need to see. He held out a tablet. Jay took it, looked at the screen. Surveillance photo, black and white, grainy. 5 men sitting at a table in what looked like a diner. She recognized them. Torres. The 4 operators she'd just saved. Meeting. Planning. They weren't randomly attacked. They were investigating together. 2 weeks ago, Reeves said. They'd been working Griffin's case independently. Jay's eyes scanned the image, then stopped. There was a 6th person, partially visible in the background, civilian clothes, face turned away from camera, but the posture, the build, no, impossible. We believe this is, Mills started. Griffin, Jay's whisper was barely audible. That's Griffin. The tablet shook in her hands. She'd watched him die, held his hand while he bled out in the sand, felt his pulse stop under her fingers. 3 years of grief, of guilt, of believing she'd killed him. Agent Mills nodded grimly. We need to talk about what really happened in Kandahar. Jay couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Griffin, alive. Someone faked his death, Reeves said, and now they're cleaning up witnesses, everyone who knew what really happened that night. The coffee cup slipped from Jay's fingers, shattered on the floor. Griffin was alive, and someone was hunting everyone who knew the truth, including her. The lights in the trauma bay flickered, once, twice, then went dark. Emergency power kicked in, red lighting, shadows everywhere. Mills's hand went to his weapon. "Get her out of here, now." Reeves grabbed Jay's arm, but she was looking at the window, at the parking lot beyond. 3 vehicles, dark, unmarked, pulling into the ambulance bay. Men getting out, moving with purpose, with training. Not here for the patients, here for her. "They're here," Jay whispered. Then the shooting started. Part 4. Final revelation, transformation, and epilogue. The gunfire lasted 8 seconds, then silence. Jay was on the IOM floor, Reeves covering her. Mills at the window, weapon drawn. "Federal agents!" Mills shouted. "Stand down!" The shooting stopped. Red emergency lighting painted everything in blood. Jay's heart hammered. This wasn't medicine. This was war. And war had found her again. "Clear!" someone shouted from outside. "Hostiles neutralized!" Mills lowered his weapon, looked at Reeves. "Get her to the secure floor, now!" They pulled Jay up, moved her through corridors, past terrified staff, past patients, into an elevator that required a keycard, up to the administrative level, into a conference room with no windows. Mills locked the door behind them. "Sit," he said. Jay sat, her hands were shaking again, but not from adrenaline this time, from rage. "Griffin is alive," she said, "and you knew." Reeves and Mills exchanged a look. "We suspected," Mills admitted. "We weren't certain until tonight. Tell me everything. Now." Mills opened his laptop, pulled up files, autopsy reports, classified documents. "The official cause of death was exsanguination due to combat trauma," he said. "But there was a second autopsy, one you never saw." He turned the screen toward her. Toxicology report, chemical compounds, highlighted in yellow, potassium chloride, massive dose, administered via injection. "He was poisoned," Jay whispered. "Before you ever started triage," Reeves confirmed. "The femoral artery wound was real, but he was already dying. You never had a chance to save him." The words hit like bullets. 3 years. 3 years of believing she'd killed him, of believing her triage decision had cost him his life, of running from medicine because she couldn't trust herself anymore. 3 years of a lie. "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Why would someone kill him?" "Griffin found evidence," Mills said. "Black market weapons sales flowing through your operational area. Someone in the supply chain was diverting munitions, selling to the highest bidder, including enemy forces." Jay's stomach turned. "Our own people?" "We believe so. Griffin was going to report it. He was building a case, and someone found out. The ambush was designed to kill him specifically, make it look like combat casualties. You were supposed to be collateral damage." The room tilted. Griffin hadn't died because of her choice. He'd been murdered, assassinated, and she'd been carrying the guilt for 3 years. "But he survived," Jay said. "How?" Reeves pulled up another file. Surveillance photos, grainy, distant. A man in civilian clothes, different locations, different times, but always the same posture, the same build. Griffin. "We think he was given an antidote," Mills said. "Someone on the inside, someone who helped him fake his death and go underground." "Why didn't he contact me?" The question came out broken, desperate. "To protect you. The less you knew, the safer you were. And he needed you out of the game. If you'd known he was alive, you would have come looking. That would have exposed him." Jay's hands clenched. "So he let me think I'd killed him. He made an impossible choice, just like you did in Kandahar." The parallel hit hard. Griffin had chosen to let her suffer to keep her safe, the same way she'd chosen to save the younger operator instead of him. Impossible math, impossible choices. "Torres and the others," Jay said. "They found evidence?" 6 months ago, they've been investigating independently, looking for proof Griffin is alive, looking for whoever killed him." "And someone found out," Jay finished. "That's why they were attacked." "Yes, whoever's behind this wants to eliminate anyone who knows the truth about Kandahar." The door opened. Dr. Chen entered with 2 hospital security guards. "The hospital is secure," she said, "but we need to move the patients, all 5 operators. Whoever attacked them knows they're here." "We can't move post-surgical patients," Jay said automatically. "They're too unstable." "Then what do you suggest?" Jay stood. Her mind was already working, calculating, planning. We defend them here. Post guards at every entrance. No one enters the secure wing without ID verification. Full lockdown protocols. Chen stared at her. This is a hospital, not a military installation. It is tonight, Mills nodded. We'll coordinate with local law enforcement. Federal protection details already en route. Dr. Whitmore appeared in the doorway. I'm not leaving them. If someone's coming for these men, they'll have to go through me first. Jay looked at him, the man who'd dismissed her 6 hours ago now willing to stand between her patients and killers. Thank you, she said quietly. A phone rang. Mills answered, listened. His face went pale. Understood. We're moving now. He hung up, looked at Jay. Encrypted message just came through hospital secure line. Audio only. It's addressed to Valkyrie. Jay's breath caught. Mills hit play. Static. Then a voice. Griffin's voice. Valkyrie, I need you to trust me one more time. Jay's knees went weak. She grabbed the table for support. That voice. 3 years dead. 3 years of guilt and grief. And it was real. Alive. I'm close, Griffin continued. I have intel on the next attack, but I need you to let me in. Southwest service entrance, 10 minutes. Come alone. The message ended. Silence. It's a trap, Reeves said immediately. Maybe, Jay whispered, or maybe it's really him. We can't risk it. Jay looked at Mills. What if it's not a trap? What if he has information that saves lives? And what if it gets you killed? She met his eyes. Then you'll have one less witness to protect. Mills studied her, then nodded slowly. We'll set up Overwatch, snipers, tactical team. If anything goes wrong, I know. 10 minutes later, Jay stood at the Southwest service entrance, alone. The door was steel, heavy, locked from the inside. She could hear her own heartbeat, feel her pulse in her throat. 3 years, 3 years of believing he was dead. Her hand moved to the lock, hesitated. Trust. That's what he'd asked for. One more time. She unlocked the door. It opened 6 inches. A figure stepped through, shadowed, hooded. But she knew, even before he spoke. She knew. Hello, Jordan. Griffin. His face was different, harder, scarred, 3 years of living underground etched into every line. But his eyes, those were the same. Jay couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. I'm sorry, Griffin said quietly. I'm sorry I let you carry that guilt. You saved everyone that could be saved that night. Tears streamed down her face. You let me think I killed you. I had to protect you, to finish this. Finish what? The investigation. I'm close, but they know. They're moving to eliminate everyone who was there, including you. He pulled out a flash drive, handed it to her. Evidence, names, transactions. Everything I've found. Give it to Mills. It's enough to bring them down. Jay took it with shaking hands. Come with me. We can protect you. I can't. Not yet, but soon, I promise. He started to turn. Griffin. He stopped. Why Torres? Why send them here? Griffin's smile was sad. Because I knew you'd save them. You always do. And because you needed to stop running. You needed to be Dr. Cade again. I don't know if I can. You already have. He disappeared into the darkness. Jay stood there, holding the flash drive, crying. Behind her, Mills appeared. Did he gave us what we need, Jay said. She handed him the drive. Morning came slowly. Jay sat beside Torres's bed. He was awake, weak but stable. Thanks for still being the best, Doc, he said. Jay managed a small smile. Why did you come here? You knew it would blow my cover. Because we needed Dr. Cade. Torres met her eyes. And maybe you needed to be her again. The words hit home. She hadn't been hiding from the work. She'd been hiding from forgiving herself. The work wasn't the problem. The guilt was, and the guilt had been based on a lie. Dr. Chen found her in the hallway an hour later. The position is still open, Chen said. Chief of Trauma Surgery, full authority to redesign protocols, plus a new request. We want you to develop a combat medicine training program. Teach civilian trauma teams what you know. Jay looked through the window at the trauma bay, at the staff who'd dismissed her, who now looked at her with respect. I have one condition, Jay said. Name it. Full security protocols, federal protection detail. My patients need to be safe. Done. Dr. Whitmore appeared. I want to learn what you know. teach us. Head nurse Brennan stepped forward. We dismissed you. We should have. You saw exactly what I wanted you to see, Jay interrupted. I was hiding. Not anymore. She took a breath. I accept the position. 6 months later. The lecture hall was packed. 50 residents, 20 attending physicians, a dozen military medical personnel. Jay stood at the front, scrubs clean, embroidered with her name and title. Dr. Cade, Chief of Trauma. Combat medicine, she began, is about making impossible choices with imperfect information under extreme pressure. She pulled up an image on the screen. Thorocotomy procedure. This is the technique I used 6 months ago to save an operator's life in our ER. Today, I'm going to teach you how to do the same. In the back row, Torres sat with 3 other operators, all recovered, all alive. They watched her teach, pride in their eyes. Dr. Whitmore sat in the front row, taking notes. He'd become her deputy, an exceptional trauma surgeon under her mentorship. The hospital had transformed. New protocols on every wall, staff trained in combat triage, ready for anything. Jay's phone buzzed. She glanced at it during a break. Encrypted message. Saw your seminar announcement. Proud of you. Stay safe, Valkyrie. Griffin. Still out there. Still hunting, but alive. Jay typed back. Find your way home, Commander. She pocketed the phone. Returned to teaching. A young resident approached after class. Dr. Cade, I heard you saved 5 operators in one night with no surgical backup. Is that true? Jay smiled. I had plenty of backup. I just had to let them help me. The resident nodded, walked away inspired. Jay stood in the empty lecture hall, looking at the protocols she'd built, the system she'd transformed. She'd spent 3 years running from who she was. Now she was teaching others to be half as good. The guilt wasn't gone. It never would be. Griffin was still out there. The conspiracy was still being dismantled. The threat wasn't over. But the guilt had purpose now. And so did she. The monitor in the adjacent trauma bay beeped, steady, strong. Once that sound had meant crisis, impossible choices, life and death. Now it meant preparation, readiness, a team trained to save lives no matter the odds. Jay walked through the trauma center, her trauma center. Staff nodded as she passed, respectful, grateful. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't running. She was exactly where she belonged. Dr. Jordan Cade, combat surgeon, chief of trauma, Valkyrie. And for the first time in 3 years, that was enough.